Hello YouTube, it's me from the future. This footage that you're about to see was filmed like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks ago. This video was supposed to be uploaded like a week and a half ago. So I want to apologize to you. The Hurricane Helene kind of slowed me down. I had a big job that I got caught up on, hadn't been able to make much progress, and now we have this Hurricane Milton coming up. So I just wanted to get this footage out for you guys. I'll see you probably in like 9 minutes or so at the end of this video. I'm just gonna show you everything that I've done off camera, and then hopefully we can get into part 4. So I'll see you guys at the end of this video. Enjoy. What is going on YouTube? My name's Travis. I want to thank you for tuning in to another TDH upload. This is part 3 on our Carolina Skiff front deck and center console refurbish, restoration, whatever you want to call it. I did a few things off of camera, so let me just jump right into the video and show you guys what's going on. So over the weekend, my buddy came by, dropped off some of this all-fair fairing compound. This is from the company All Grip. They make all kinds of different products. This stuff is a 2-part system, and man, it works freaking wonders. Once it's mixed up and laid out, it is a really sturdy material or filler putty. It does not seem to be very porous. I don't have a bunch of small holes, pinholes, or anything like that. It came out really good. I chased everything out with some 80 grit, knocked down the heavy stuff, came back behind it with 320, and or excuse me, 220, and then 320, and then all these major flat spots, I just hit it with a block. And there's a little bit of wave here and there. It's nothing crazy. You'll probably notice it once I get some primer on it. You know, I don't do this stuff for a living. This is not, you know, something that I have a ton of experience in. This is something that I do as a hobby. So for what I've done, I'm very happy with the overall outcome. I mean, this is pretty flush for me just being an amateur at this stuff. So I got a few more bits that I want to chase over. If you look closely, you can see there's a bit of resin right here kind of glaring up. I want to hit that with some 80 grit. I got a couple little pinholes right here. Nothing that's crazy. As you can see, the all-fair did fill it up nicely, but like this is a little pin right here. It's actually standing up above it. Same thing with this. This is probably just some resin, to be honest with you guys. But I need to come back, sand over just a few more spots, and we're looking really good on the center console. It's almost time to get this thing into primer and then start reassembling it. So I'm very happy with that. Now, as far as the All Grip goes, I'm sorry that I'm running my mouth, but this stuff is freaking expensive, and I just could not fork out the money to buy another, you know, part A, part B of this kit here. So I did some reading online, went through, you know, a couple of the forums, and I see a lot of guys using this Bondo short strand fiberglass filler putty, and I want to give it a shot. I want to see how it works out. So I think the main test, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it on this space where the hatch goes, but I'm thinking that I'm going to try to attempt to fair out this area here. I went ahead and laid some more chop matte, you guys can see, and it's almost flush. There's a few areas that's a little low, like right here you can see it's kind of dipped down, kind of dips a little bit, and then there's an area right here where it's nice and flush all the way up. So I'm just gonna knock this stuff down, get it all even, and then use some of that short strand resin putty mix and see how that stuff adheres and how it works out. And if it works pretty good, then I'll continue using it up here on the hatch repair job. Okay, now lastly, before we dive into all the work, I looked up hatches. There is a hatch that is for this size, this whole cutout right here. They do make one that size, but it's $280. Again, I can't get myself to spend that much money, especially on my cheap. I mean, the Carolina Skiff was free, and the amount of money that I have into here, I can't justify spending that money right now, especially when the formula needs to be finished. So what I'm gonna do today, you guys will see me knock all this stuff down, and then we'll start prepping up this area more. I'm gonna get all this epoxy resin off of here that I've oozed down, clean this area up more. And if I can knock this flush today, then I think I'm going to try to mix up some of that compound, that fairing compound stuff, and lay it out and see how it looks. So I'm gonna shut my mouth, let's get to work. Well, all right, we got a ton of work done. I'm very happy with where we're at today. Let me give you guys just a short explanation on what all we did. You guys saw in the first time lapse, I went through and sanded down the face of this. I built up all this chop mat really, really tall so that way I could sand it down and knock it almost flush. I've got a couple low spots here in all these areas, and I talked about in the beginning of the video using that Bondo short strand fiberglass filler putty. Well, come to find out, which I should have known because I watched Fish Bump TV. I've been doing my research, but gosh, what a dumb moment for me. This is a polyester-based filler putty, and I have been using epoxy-based resin and filler materials like my Cabasil and such. So it is like a 90% fail rate trying to get a polyester filler or a polyester resin to bond onto an epoxy resin or an epoxy-based item. You can get epoxy-based items to adhere to polyester items all day long, like my formula, that's no problem. But I could not use this stuff on the face of this because it would most likely just chip off and flake. Like you see guys do crappy Bondo jobs on cars and they don't do any prep work, and you can like see the Bondo and you can like pick it off and it comes off as a chunk. Basically, that's what would happen. The prep work has to be 150%. I'm no pro. Like I told you in the beginning of the video, this is just a hobby for me, so that's something that I was not willing to risk. Anyways, I talked to my boy Jack about that. I talked to a couple of different guys online. Thankfully enough, they stopped me where I was. Jack brought over some micro balloons. Fortunately enough, again, these were white. And he also brought me a nice file sander here. This is his Blue Point file sander. And so this is gonna really help me get this stuff knocked down and leveled, and that's what you see here and what you saw in that second time lapse. Jack was mixing this stuff up and just showing me how to use it. It's not a structural item, it's just meant for aesthetics. And he said, once this is all cleaned up and it's sanded nice and flush and it's all pretty and it's where I wanna be, I can come back and find my low spots, fill up my low spots, and then from there we can get ready to prime this thing down and go into paint. But obviously that's after all of the micro balloon work is done. And if I have any pinholes or anything that's microscopic from there, we can either fill it with Cabasil or we can get away with just using a slight touch of this stuff. As long as you don't go in very, very heavy amounts, just the tiniest little bit you can usually get away with, which is something that I probably won't do. I'll probably have Jack help me with that. Other than that, you saw me mix up some Cabasil and lay out Cabasil on here. I asked a bunch of people for their opinion and how they would take care of this area and what they would do. And the number one thing that I got was fill up all the low areas and all the crevices with Cabasil, let it all kick off. I'm gonna come back again with that file sander, knock all this stuff flush, and then I'll probably come in and wet it out after it's all ground out, and then build up some 10 ounce, so that way I can have some 10 ounce laid over onto this gel coat and then into these edges. I'm probably just going to reuse this guy. We're probably gonna attempt to hit it with some Scotch-Brite and clean it up. I already wiped it down with some cleaner, and you can see it's much cleaner than what it was before, but it's got this awful stain on here, and I don't know, man. These hatches, they're proud of them. They're real expensive, so I'm gonna probably just reuse this for the time being, and then just get this all squared away and get this installed on the boat. I also picked up some hardware for it too, so when that time comes, but obviously we're gonna have to be putting this stuff into primer, getting all my low spots cleaned up, get it nice and pretty. Go ahead and lay out the bilge coat paint on it, because that's probably what I'm going to end up doing, because that's what I did for the interior of the boat. And then this thing should be almost ready to install. I'll just have to get some new stainless steel screws and get that guy fastened down, and we should be good to go. So that's that, guys. I know I'm talking a lot. I just wanted to show you guys what was going on as far as that time-lapse work goes. And hopefully tomorrow we can pick up where we left off, keep sanding on this stuff and shaping, and getting to a point where we can start laying out some micro balloons on the whole thing on the face here. And maybe some 10 ounce up here, and just keep chugging along. So that is that for now, guys. There's a lot of talking in this video, so I'm just gonna make this short and sweet, but as you guys can see, I went ahead and spread out all these micro balloons, went ahead and sanded them down, faired them down, and we are looking nice and flush and even, consistent. It's looking awesome up here on the front. I did the same thing where the hatch will go on the top of the deck here. Went through, found all of my low spots, filled them all up with micro balloons. I actually had filled the whole thing up with micro balloons, just a big old load on there, just swiped it everywhere. Went to town with the file sander, and now we're looking better than ever. So we've made really great progress on the front deck. Hopefully here within the next, I don't know, I'm gonna say within the next week, because nothing has gone according to plan, but within the next week I'm hoping to get primer for the deck and for the center console. That way we can go ahead and get these guys into paint, get this guy installed and out of my way because it's starting to become a nuisance with it hanging around my shop. So this is looking really good. And I also started doing some work on what I'm gonna make my back deck. I went ahead and cut out the live wells, and I actually cut out this center coring because it was rotten, and I'm gonna replace all of that, grind all of that out, excuse me, clean it all up, put a new board in there, and then glass that back shut. And then I'll have to get some marine ply for the live wells, set them in from the top, and then glass them in. There's gonna be lots of repairs. I'm gonna drop this in, knock it flat. Got to repair the crack right here. That was the main culprit. That's how I got this thing so cheap. It was cracked down the middle. So lots to do for the back deck, but we are making progress with the front deck, with the console and all that jazz. So let me go ahead and wrap this video up. Okay guys, well that is it. I know it was a lot of talking here towards the end, and I didn't do a lot of what I was hoping to do on camera to show you guys, but we are making progress on this, and little by little, hopefully within, I don't know, a few weeks, we can have this painted and installed and ready to rock and roll, and we can move on to all the other little things, including my new guy back there that I've got to show you guys. We've got a lot of content coming up. I just need to get my act and I gotta get my ducks in a row is basically what I'm saying. So other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next upload. Later.